Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn presented by the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. And this Lunch and Learn series is sponsored by the University of Fredericton, so huge thanks to them. Now, today we will be looking at the power of relationship building in sales. Now, my name is Jeremy DeMerchant. I am the founder and CEO of Permission to Sell Consulting Group. And normally we would have a representative from the Chamber reading an introduction for me, but in doing the live presentation, I personally forgot to push record. So I am doing a replay specifically for those of you that weren't able to attend it live. Now, the power of relationship building in sales is such a huge component of someone's success in sales. See, we used to be in a position where you could knock on someone's door, do a cold call, and quickly convert somebody into a client. And that's not the case anymore. So today, we're going to talk about exactly how to get very powerful at building relationships in sales and how to use those to grow our sales to really high levels. Now, in a couple minutes, I'm going to share with you how a single relationship generated over $80,000 in sales for me personally in my business. But before we get to that, I want to tell you just a little bit about me. So I've spent the last, over 20 years now in sales in different roles, so frontline sales, leadership roles, and worked in many different industries, banking, insurance sales, telecom. Prior to starting my own business, I was the director of admissions at another online university here in the city. And in this photo, this is a picture, this is a Christmas, I think it's 2011. And this is my team. So I'm a proud Vikings fan, and my team got together and got me a Vikings helmet. But while I was going through the process of helping all these companies earn money, I got a little bit frustrated with the internal politics. Now, at this particular university, the first intake that I was there, along with one other rep, we brought in $5.5 million in revenue in the first intake. And then over the period of 18 months, I was able to, we as a team continued to grow and grew the team by about 900% over that 18-month period. So I've had the experience in building teams and creating successful teams, but I wanted to leave the corporate politics behind. And so I left this organization, took a year off to finish my degree at the University of New Brunswick. And after some significant resistance from my own part, I finally launched my company, Permission to Sell. And once I made that commitment, some really cool things happened. So first, I got to publish a book. So I'm a co-author of the book, Put Me in Coach. It became a #1 bestseller in Canada and the US, and top 100 in the UK and Australia. So this was me and 8 other entrepreneurs and coaches who got together to create a book that would provide valuable information to our audience. And I've had the opportunity to speak on both sides of the border, so in Canada and the US. In the new year, I will be speaking in the Canary Islands, as well as many other places. And I found that being able to speak on stage really energized me. And so this is the opportunity that the business has created for me in feeling fulfilled from a professional perspective. And being able to create this business has also allowed me to spend more time with the things that are important to me in my life. So for example, on the left, you see my niece and nephew. My nephew's 15, my niece just turned 2. I get to hang out with them. I see them on a weekly basis. On the right, you see me and a few friends. Some of you probably recognize. And we're doing the Father's Day walk for prostate cancer. So I like to spend my time with my family, with my friends, and giving back to the community. And the beauty of having my own business and building it based on strong relationships has given this back to me and giving me this flexibility. Now, probably my most favorite thing, now this is great, spending time with my family and giving back, but I have the travel bug. And here you'll see photos on the bottom left. This is me in November, and the sun is setting over the Pacific Ocean. So I'm in Santa Monica, California. It was a fantastic trip. On the bottom right, you've got me there with a business partner of mine that you'll hear more about shortly, and a client of mine from Costa Rica. So we're in Las Vegas, and we are at the Sky Lounge, where you can have this magnificent view of the entire city of Las Vegas. At the top, this was Las Vegas about a year ago, where I was at an event and had the opportunity to bring my girlfriend along with me, and you'll hear a little bit more about that as well. So this is the cool things that can come from building a business that's driven by relationships. Opportunities present themselves all over the place. And here's a quote that I love. All things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. Now think about that for a second. If you are going to promote somebody's business, you want to trust that person, right? You're not going to send somebody who you really care about, maybe a family member, a friend, a business associate. You're not going to send them to somebody you don't trust for a few reasons. One, you don't want them to have a negative experience, of course. But two, you don't want to have any negative experience reflect back on you, right? We're programmed to think about ourselves first, and it's not being selfish. It's a protection mechanism, right? So we don't want to look bad. So this is why building strong relationships is really important, because people aren't going to refer people to you until they know you, like you, and trust you. They have that strength in the relationship. Now, here's a little concept that I developed, and this was originally designed based on the idea of running a trade show booth. So many years ago, my dad is a wood carver, and many years ago, he would bring me to these trade shows where he'd promote his wood carvings, and he does amazing work. And I started to analyze what the likelihood of having somebody actually come into the booth was based on how far away they were from it initially. But I took the concept and I made some minor changes and made it so it would apply to any kind of relationship, any kind of sale. So I've called it the circles of attraction. And on the outside of the circle, you'll see it's labeled exposure, the outside ring. And this is when you first get somebody's attention. So say, for example, you're at a networking event, let's say a Fredericton Chamber of Commerce after hours. And somebody walks in the room, it just captures your attention. Could be the way they're dressed, could be the way their posture is, and those people that just command a presence, they draw your attention. In the online world, it could be when somebody else's Facebook post pops up in your newsfeed. It could be a Facebook ad that pops up. These are all ways that you as a business owner can get yourself in front of a new audience. Now, once someone's gotten your attention, or in this case, you've gotten someone else's attention, they then move to the experience phase. So what this looks like is, let's say that you notice somebody at a Chamber After Hours event, and then maybe the next month, or maybe at another event, you see them again. Well, they caught your attention the first time, so you're going to start paying more attention to them. How do they interact with people? If there's food at the event, are they stuffing it in their face, or are they, eating politely and using a napkin, right? We use all these things to judge people. And so when you turn it around, people are using all these things to judge you, okay? I learned a lesson a long time ago, and although this is a sales manager at one of my first sales jobs back in early 2000s, I guess, and he told me perception is reality. And so what that really means is someone's perception of you is the reality that they're going to base their opinions on, their judgment. Okay, so the reality is we are getting judged. And that's okay, but you want to be aware of it. And so the experience section is any place where you can go to evaluate someone else without them knowing. So if you're just paying attention to somebody from across the room, but you're being really subtle about it, they're probably not going to notice. In the online world, let's say that somebody's post has popped up in your newsfeed. Well, you're going to go and click on their profile and you're going to do a little research on them. Well, they don't know that you're looking at them. They don't know that you're going through their pictures or scrolling down their about section, right? They don't know this stuff. And from a business perspective, this could be your business Facebook page, but also on your website. What do you have available for people where they can go and experience you, get to know you, like you, and trust you without you being aware of it, or at least without them realizing you're aware of it in some cases. So some really good examples from a business perspective are having a blog. So there's very few ways that you will track if somebody reads a blog. Now, there are ways. You can use Facebook pixels and Google Analytics and things like that. But in general, you don't know who those people are. You might be able to market to them with those tools later, but you don't know who they are. And people know that. So they feel comfortable taking that step, going through your content to evaluate you, to see if there's a connection, see if there's someone that, if you're someone that they want in their world. And then once they make that connection, or they identify that connection, then the next step is engagement. So they're going to engage with you somehow. So at a networking event like a Chamber After Hours, that might be them coming up to introduce themselves to you. Online, it might be clicking like or commenting on a post. Okay, these are all things where the person that has gotten your attention now knows that you're paying attention. Okay, so this is really important. So when you think about this in your own business, what does this look like? If somebody's liking or commenting on your post, especially if they're business related, are you paying attention to that? Because these are people that are putting their hand up saying, hey, I'm watching and I'm okay with you knowing it. Kind of saying, hey, make sure that I'm on your list. Make sure I'm there, someone that you stay in contact with. Right? So use that to your advantage. Pay attention to those people, because this is when they finally have that comfort level of connecting with you openly. So on your website, for example, they might be looking at your blog to experience you. But then if you have a way that they can download a free gift or join your email list, well, when they do that, you get a notification of it and they know that. So that's the level of engagement. So I hope that makes sense. So the level of engagement is when the person is, I'll kind of call them a prospect. The prospect is comfortable with you knowing they're paying attention to you. Then from the engagement, you go on to what I've got listed here as enrollment, or the sales conversation, or whatever experience that you've set up for your prospect to move them into a sale. Now, to give you some examples in my business, on the exposure side, so I've run some Facebook ads, but I don't do it a lot. I do a lot of business posts on my personal Facebook. Now, some people will say you shouldn't do that, and that's fine. But people like to connect with people, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But you're going to have better engagement on your personal profile than your business profile. So when I get the opportunity, I include as many people in a post as I can where it's appropriate. And so I've got the opportunity to show up in front of other audiences and other people's timelines or news feeds. And then on the experience side, my personal Facebook page is completely public. So there's nothing on there that you can't see by going and looking me up right now. You can go ahead, Jeremy S. DeMerchant. It's all public. So there's some business stuff, there's some social stuff, there's I'm sure there's some cute pictures of me and my girlfriend or whatever. And I'm open because I know people want to know who I am. They're not worried about the business structure. First, they want to see if they can know me. And once they know me, if they like me and trust me. And so not only do I have my Facebook public, but I have a lot of videos posted. And people love videos. So I post a lot of videos on my personal Facebook profile that you guys can, again, go to my photos, click on albums, you'll see videos, check them out. A lot of them are business related, but not all of them. And it's a place where somebody can go and experience me, see my personality, see my approach to business, and see how I am as a person. And that connection, especially with video or in person, from a distance, like at a networking event, are some of the best ways to allow them to experience you. And then from an engagement perspective, usually I'll be driving people to get a free gift from me. Like, for example, I mentioned my book. You can go on my website and you can download that. And that's where somebody says, yes, I'm paying attention. I want to be on your email list. Then the enrollment conversation, well, there's a few different ways that I do that, and we won't get too deep into it, but I've got some online processes set up that take people through a little bit of a journey so they can experience me on a higher level and connect with me on a deeper level. And also opportunities to get them into conversations where, we see if they're a fit for us to work together. So that's the circles of attraction. And I'm going to be touching back on this throughout the presentation here. So if you do have any questions about anything that comes up through the presentation, as I mentioned, this is a replay. So you can email me. My email address will be on the final slide, but I'll give it to you now. It's jeremy@permissiontosell.com. Now, the good stuff. How a single relationship generated over $80,000 in sales in my business, and how I used the 7 keys to building relationships and sales to do this. Now, back a few years ago, I was at an event running a booth at a trade show, and this is in St. John, New Brunswick. And I was there. It was for one of the online universities that I worked with. And you've got the booth set up all over. And then suddenly, this young kid got up and started to walk over. Now, he caught my attention right from the start because he had, he was fairly clean shaven. You see him in this photo, fairly clean shaven. He had a, tight haircut, but even more so, he had this, what I'm going to call obnoxiously blue. And I'm sorry if anybody watching this has a blazer this color, but this obnoxiously blue blazer that completely stood out. And it was great because it got my attention. And he came over and introduced himself. He said, "Hi, I'm Joshua Hayward." And so what he did is he instantly took me through the first 3 stages, and I'll go back a slide here if I can. The first 3 stages. Exposure. He stood up, and with that bright jacket, I noticed him. Second, the experience. So he walked with confidence. And he was smiling as he came over. And then engagement, he came over and shook my hand. And, I really wasn't sure about this guy, right? He's just, he was a couple years younger than me. But he just had this energy about him. And he said, his business was helping people turn their passion into a business. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. But I didn't know if I, actually knew him. It's hard to know somebody from an initial 45-second conversation. So I didn't know him, like him, or trust him yet. And so I went home, I Googled him, I jumped on his Facebook and creeped around, like nobody watching this replay will want to admit that they do, but you do. It's okay. It's normal. Because I wanted to get a feel for what he was about. And I found somewhere that somebody had described him as the next Tony Robbins. Now, this really caught my attention because I had seen Tony Robbins live in Halifax a few years before, and it really inspired me to want to get out and do that, the speaking component of the business, and really connect with people and help make an impact. Now, at this time, I was in my day job. I was working for one of the online universities, and I really didn't know what the future held for me, but seeing Tony Robbins live kind of got something percolating inside me. So I paid attention to Josh. I followed him on social media. At this point, I was okay with him knowing that I was paying attention, so I added him as a friend on Facebook. I liked his business page, and he started posting a lot of videos. Well, I followed him for a long, long time. In fact, it was a couple years. And he ended up doing a free live event in Fredericton. So I showed up, and I got to go through this really cool experience where, I got in touch with some of my fears, and it was really eye-opening. And most importantly, it gave me an opportunity to truly experience the service he provides or the transformation he provides firsthand. So it definitely built up a lot of trust. And so as my career continued, this was sort of inspiring the idea even further that I should be a coach, a speaker. But it was sort of on the back burner, right? I had the corporate job and nice title, nice paycheck, all that jazz. So I wasn't really ready to rock the boat. And then a few years later, the picture that I showed you before in that last corporate job, well, I ended up leaving that job. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do next. I was just, the politics had had been too much for me. So I left, and I saw Josh had posted these videos giving detailed outlines of how to start and run a coaching business. And I thought, maybe now's the time. And so I signed up for the event. It was a $2,000 ticket, and that's a whole other story. $2,000 ticket. It was a live event, 3 days in Halifax. At the time, I didn't have a whole lot of money. In fact, I had about $2,000 in my pocket. So I invested that $2,000 in this ticket. Pretty sure I borrowed money for gas to go drive to Halifax, stayed with the buddy, and went through this live event. But it was really eye-opening. In fact, that event is the reason why I started this business. If it wasn't for that event and the components that followed, my business wouldn't exist. So fast forward a bit, and as I mentioned, I went back to school and finished my degree. So I was really nervous about this whole idea of going into business for myself. But I had trusted Josh. I knew him, I liked him, I trusted him now. And I had already done business with him. And I continued to follow up and stay in touch. And after I finished my degree, although I was still really nervous and still did a little job hunting before I decided that it was really the right time, before I actually launched my company, I reached back out to Josh. See, Josh had now become an authority in my mind. And it was because of the relationship. And I joined a program he was teaching online and got to meet some amazing people. And this is a screenshot here of us in our group coaching. So as you can see, Josh is in the top left-hand corner. He's grown his hair out a bit since that first day many, many years prior when the young kid came up to the booth and talked to me. And the really neat thing about this is that being in this environment, you're vulnerable. You're looking for help. You're looking for support. And you ask some questions that might be perceived as vulnerable. And that's fine. But what that allowed people to do was trust me more. And in fact, 2 people in this photo later became my clients. Not only that, but Josh and I built a really strong friendship, and he started referring me to other people. And so a whole lot of connections. And I mean, this was my introduction into the whole world of coaching and online marketing. So many, many connections came from this. And it's really tough to quantify that. I mean, I can tell you, a specific number of people that I've met. But for those of you that do really like to quantify it, and, I said I'd tell you how $80,000 was generated in my business from one relationship. So I'll stick a number to it. From my relationship directly with Josh and from clients that came directly from him to my business, $24,500, and actually a little bit more, I think, was generated just from those relationships. So this is one guy. Now, that was really cool, right? $25,000 is a really nice number, especially when you're just starting off in business. But there was something even better. You see, Josh and I had such a strong relationship that he was now comfortable introducing me to 2 of his mentors. Now on the right, you'll see me with Laura Langemeyer, and those of you that don't know her, she's known as the Millionaire Maker. She's a, I think, 5-time New York Times best-selling author, and helps people all around the world with their money mindset and runs some great programs on helping people get comfortable asking for money. So Josh introduced me to her, and I helped promote some events. I did some sales at the back of the room for her live events, and we got to know each other pretty well, and I joined some of her programs. And in joining those programs, I got to meet other people. Some people that I did partnerships with, a lot of people that became my clients. So a lot of great relationships were created. Now on the left-hand side, you'll see this is Josh and I, and beside him in the blue shirt is Jay Facette. Jay Facette was his mentor and coach at the time and is now his business partner. This is us we're in Phoenix in late October of 2015. And so with this relationship and this trust, not only did Josh introduce me to Jay, but Jay then asked if I would come and do some sales work for him. And so I helped him out with one of his launches. And the launch is really neat because I'm the type of guy that goes all in when I want to promote somebody. And so not only was I doing the sales side, but I was also promoting him to my audience that I developed in my business. And because I have a great relationship with my clients and a lot of the prospects that I have, I was able to just pick up the phone and call people and say, look, the program that he's promoting really is right for exactly where you're at. Now, disclaimer, I only had that conversation if it was appropriate. I wasn't just selling things just to sell things. But for the clients that it was a fit for, I reached out to them and invited them to join the program. Now, the process was very eye-opening. It opened a lot of doors that I'll tell you about in a minute. But just helping out on that launch, there were sales commissions, there was people that I met, some fantastic things. And, again, if we're going to quantify it, and I did the average because I don't like sharing numbers when it relates to other people as much. So on average, from these relationships, I averaged $18,900 in revenue generated from these two relationships. And again, these are direct revenue generation opportunities. So that's another 20 grand times two. So almost $40,000. So pretty darn good. But again, still not the best part of it because the relationships that came from it were even more powerful. So I mentioned that I was helping promote Jay's event or Jay's program. And with this, I promoted it with a lot of passion and I did really well. And I ended up on his leaderboard and was invited to his top partners mastermind in Banff, Alberta. This was phenomenal. I was in a room with 9 or 10 other people who had done phenomenal things in business. The gentleman on the far left who's squinting, his name is Justin Livingston. He had just done a $3.4 million launch, I believe, the day that I was sitting next to him. Okay, so I guess he was about 2 weeks out after the launch when I met him. It was awesome. You'll see Jay's there in the middle with the sunglasses on, kind of kneeling down, Josh smiling, holding the selfie stick. There's people in that group from all over the country, in fact, all over the world. And pay attention to the guy in the yellow shirt because he's going to come up in my story in a minute. But just a phenomenal experience to be surrounded by these experts in the industry. And this wouldn't have happened, again, if I hadn't built a really strong relationship with Josh. So it was really exciting. So you're going to hear some more stuff about the gentleman in the yellow shirt here in a few moments. But the other thing about building a strong relationship is the gratitude. Now, don't do things just to get gratitude, but when you do really good job for people, people share it, especially people that understand marketing. So here's a picture. This again is Josh with this much longer hair than before, and he's giving me a prize that I won. So in another sales competition that I was helping him and Jay with, I won an Apple Watch, which I love. But even cooler than the Apple Watch is this Facebook post that he did where he said, I bought another Apple Watch. Huge shout out to Rockstar client and friend, Jeremy DeMerchant, for all of his support. Jeremy's been working with me for over a year now and has gotten some pretty stellar results in his first year of business. He's also been extremely supportive of everything I've been up to. He's done sales for me. He is a sales strategist after all. He has helped Jay Facette and I place on different launch leaderboards, and he supported us with phone sales during our big online launches. Jeremy, my friend, thank you so much for your support. Enjoy your Apple Watch. So, I mean, it's nice that this is publicized and it actually generated a lot of attention for me. But what I want to illustrate to you is the connection. Okay, he used friend a couple times in this because we're friends. This isn't just a business transaction. This isn't just some deal designed to make money. This is a friend supporting a friend. And yeah, if there's a financial benefit at the end, great. We're transparent about that. But these relationships are really, really powerful. Now, I mentioned to pay attention to the gentleman in the last photo in the yellow shirt. So this is Tom. So now he's in the left-hand photo with me, wearing the blue shirt. And so from that mastermind that I went to with Jay, I got to meet all these awesome people, as I mentioned. And one gentleman, Tom, he listened to me share some of my goals. And the idea was to get up and tell the group, what you wanted support in your business and how they could help you. So I had shared that I wanted to eventually be on stage speaking in Dubai. Well, Tom actually called me up shortly after the event. And he said, hey, double double. And he called me double double because apparently New Brunswick has the highest per capita of Tim Hortons in the country. So he says, hey, double double, let's make this Dubai thing a reality. Are you in? I said, yeah. And a few months later, I conveniently booked a flight that would have a 5-hour layover in Vancouver, and he's based in Bowen Island, so just off of Vancouver. And then I told him about it. I said, hey, I've got a layover. We should meet, have dinner, and figure out the detail. And so we figured out the details of that deal. And although it's changed a bit, so this is the deal that has now become the Canary Islands. That's due to some logistics with Dubai Tourism. But this relationship is going to result in me being on stage in the Canary Islands to an audience of 100 plus people. Great exposure, great opportunity. And it was created because of the level of trust that I was able to build with the members of this mastermind, and specifically with Tom. And there's multiple things that we're doing as well. We're partnering on bringing an event that he has called the Strategic Alliance Summit. We're going to bring that to Atlantic Canada. You can expect that in 2017, so stay tuned. But also from doing these launches with Jay and the competitions that I helped him win, I got some attention from some other groups. And in fact, Jay and Josh had said, hey, there's this group called JV Insider Circle, and JV stands for joint venture. Said, one, you want to become a member because it's a great networking opportunity where you can build relationships with people. And that was the primary focus. But the team at JVIC kind of paid attention to who I was, who I'd worked with, some of the stuff that I did, and they asked if I would come and do some work for them and help them out on one of their launches. So the picture on the right is the whole team from JVIC. I'm kind of hiding in the back, on the left-hand side, so I guess I'm second from the left. And this is at a live event this is Laguna Beach, California. And I was at that event to do sales at the back of the room, but I had helped them with their launch previously, doing live chat and doing sales calls. And the opportunity was phenomenal. So I got to be an authority and a recognized member of their team. And that was all because of the stuff that I had done with Jay and, joining the group and just doing what I do and building relationships. So already from these two relationships, again, if we need to quantify it, and I might as well just stop saying it because I am going to quantify all these for you because I know it's important to some people. For me, the relationship is really the most important because you have no idea what opportunity can come up when you have the right relationships and you make it a point to nurture them. But on average in these relationships, I've already earned over $10,000 each. So, that's over $20,000. And again, this all stems from that relationship with Josh. And so thanks to Tom and thanks to the team at JVIC, I've had the opportunity this year to do some awesome traveling. I've gone to Tom's live events, helped him out with a few things, and I explained the JVIC piece. Well, from the revenue that generated, that's nice, like I mentioned, but the relationships are phenomenal. So you've got photos for me. This is for me in Las Vegas in September, and me in Laguna Beach in LA in November, December, somewhere around there. November, I guess. And the relationships are phenomenal. So everyone you see in these photos, like I'm doing some kind of partnership deal with, or I will be promoting them. You'll see on the top left, this is me and my good friend Gina Husser. Her and I are actually going to be building another business together. Some just amazing relationships. You've got a lady I'm doing a partnership deal with in Minnesota, a couple that I'm working on a project with, and they're from Romania, of course from LA and all across the US. And again, a picture of Tom. This is on the middle right-hand side. Tom and I with my new client from Costa Rica. And that client became a client at that event in Las Vegas where that photo was taken. And right in the middle of it all, you'll see me and Josh. So Josh is still doing his thing. Relationships, they're the game. If you want to be successful in business, relationships are the game. And it's a really fun game to play because you get to meet so many people. You get to learn about people. You get to learn about new ideas you hadn't thought of. And the photo on the left is me with a lady named Nancy Jutton. We connected because she was struggling to use Uber. And I fixed her up and gave her credit for Lyft. So, it didn't cost me anything, just, a few minutes of my time. But she got a $50 credit to use Lyft to travel to her next speaking engagement, and she'll remember me. So when I do the follow-up, and she did say, make sure you contact me. And when I do the follow-up, we already have that relationship. So from all these relationships, from the point of when I met Josh to now, it's a little bit higher than this number now, but we generated $83,200 in new revenue for my business. So cool story. Lots of fun in the process, but now I want to show you how you can do the same thing. So I want to share with you the 7 keys to building relationships in sales. So number 1, be authentic. This is a picture of myself and a friend of mine, Simone Jennings. When I went back to UNB to finish my degree, I was selected as part of the Student Ambassadors Program, which is a program where they accept 25 students from across Atlantic Canada who they deem to be change makers, people that want to make a difference. And so I was honored to be a part of that group. And from that, we wanted to create an event that would really inspire young entrepreneurs. And so Simone and I were the co-chairs of the first ever Youth Entrepreneurship Summit, or YES, as you can see on the t-shirts there. And first one in Atlantic Canada. So this was hosted here in Fredericton a few years ago, 2014, I guess, and had a blast and got to meet some cool people. But this is a photo that I have public on my Facebook as well. I'm just having fun, right? People want to know people. So why is it important? Well, your ideal client prefers to connect with a person instead of a brand, and I mentioned that earlier. They want to know who you are. They don't care right now about how the company's built, right? Especially if your audience, if they're individual consumers and you're not doing B2B, this is especially important. But even in B2B scenarios, the decision makers at a company want to know if they can like you and trust you. And to do that, they need to know you. So it works in that case, they're going to make it more about the people that they're dealing with at the company. So that's a big component. So be real. Your audience wants to see that you've been, or at least truly understand where they're at. So here's a really key piece. So let's say, for example, you are going to go out and sell investments. Well, I did that. I was 22 years old, and quite honestly, I didn't have a clue. And I struggled with that at the time because I couldn't show people, I couldn't go up to someone in their 50s or 60s and say, yes, you should invest your $250,000 with me. I'll take good care of it. I couldn't say that. So I couldn't portray that image because that image wasn't authentic to me. And, the people that I did create as new clients in that business were people that were my age. So I was 22 and I was attracting people 20 to 25 to make a $25 a month contribution to their RSP. I could authentically make that sale because I was there. I was doing it myself. So, and it was really easy for me to build that trust. But when the game is big ticket insurance sales and big money transfers, it's tougher when you're young because I didn't have that experience and I struggled at it. The other part of being authentic is maintaining an image is exhausting and actually makes it harder to connect. So who knows someone that kind of has this image that they maintain? The fake it till you make it, right? They have this perception that if they give off the specific image, it's going to help them in business. Well, I was that person at one point. I actually upgraded my car because I thought in the insurance business, if I pulled up to somebody's door in my 1992 Honda Accord, and keep in mind this was about 2004, I think. Okay, so if I drive up in a 12-year-old car, how successful do I look? And so I bought a new car to help with that image. And it was a really, really bad move, quite honestly. I would have been better off saying, look, you know what? I'm not an expert in managing money, but the company that I represent is. And so my role is to introduce you to what they offer, and their role is to show you the results. Okay, so that's an authentic way that you can share the message. For me, trying to act like I'm an expert in investing, well, that's ridiculous because I'm not. I mean, it gave me some good experience, but I was faking it and it wasn't successful. So if you're watching this and you're someone that's faking it, start making the transition to being authentic. It's okay if people see you fall down. It's okay if people see you fail, if people see you struggle. It's perfectly fine. Just be you, because people will be more compassionate. People will connect and people will want to help you more. So I hope that makes sense. The next one is be interested. So here's a photo of me. I'm up at Planet Hatch doing a mentoring session with some people during I think it was a UPS sponsored export marketing day or something. So it was all about how to export your business, your products, and what process you put them through to get them created, things like that. So we had like What Not to Wear up there speaking and other companies like that. But in this conversation, I'm really, truly interested in what these people are doing. Right? I want to learn about their business so I can help them. But here's something that's key. Fact, people love to talk about themselves, and I can't imagine there's anyone on here that would argue with me about that. Now, people don't necessarily love to promote themselves, but they love to tell you the stories and what's going on in their life. Right? We've all got those friends that you ask a simple question like, how's your day? And it turns into a 20-minute conversation. They don't have to be like that, but people love talking about themselves. And so if you position yourself to be interested in what they're talking about, you're going to have a much more success in connecting with them. Now, here's another tip. Ask open-ended questions to allow people to expand on what they're saying. So think about this. When was the last time you were at a chamber networking event and after hours? And don't say never. And if it's been never, get to the next one. Okay. Trust me, those things can absolutely change the direction of your business. When you connect with someone and you ask them these open-ended questions, you let them guide the conversation. And you want to focus not on if you can sell them something, but focus on learning about them because they have a problem and it will come up. And you're going to want to help them solve it. They're really important, and we'll talk about this more in a second. You're not going to be able to solve every problem, or your product isn't going to be able to solve every problem. But you may know someone who can help. So focus on figuring out what challenge they're facing. And you can build a really strong relationship that way. Now, if you spend an entire conversation hearing about someone else, this is really cool. They will feel like you are the most interesting person in the room. So picture this. You go to the next chamber after hours, and you've got a plan. You should always go to these things with a plan. You want to talk to 5 new people, let's say. Well, talk to 5 new people. You've got to make sure you don't have any conversations that are more than 10 minutes, because you've got this specific window. There's time to mingle, and you got to get some food and some drinks or whatever. So let's say you've got 5 minutes. And so when you have this conversation, you can go and try to dive into some sales pitch, but it's just going to turn somebody off because they don't know you. So instead, spend the entire conversation asking about them. Hey, what's your name? What do you do? Why do you do it? That's an open-ended question, right? What do you love about it? What's the biggest challenge you guys are facing? What's the most fulfilling piece of your job? And the really good one is, hey, how can I help you? Okay. It doesn't matter if they know anything about you. Okay. If I've been in conversations where people didn't have a clue about me, but they really liked me at the end of it because I listened, because they felt heard, they felt special. Right? This is what people want. Make someone feel special, but treat them like they're really special. Don't just make this up. Be interested and sincere about your interest in what they're doing. If there's something you just can't get interested in, don't fake it. Just end the conversation as politely as you can and move on. Because if there's someone that you just can't connect with, you're not going to enjoy doing business with them anyway. Especially if you're in a service-based business where there's ongoing support and you got to reach out to them all the time. It's not going to be enjoyable. So do your best to be interested, ask open-ended questions, and make them feel like you're the most important person in the room, because all you want to do is find out about them. Now, the next piece, you want to build authority. So here's a picture of my book. I mentioned it was a #1 bestseller on Amazon. A book is a really great way to build authority. In fact, when somebody says, hey, I'm a best-selling author, it catches your attention. But the important piece about that is why. Why does writing a book position somebody as an expert? Well, because they're sharing information. They're sharing their expertise. So they do this to add value. So if somebody's standing on stage, they're sharing their expertise, and it's a really great way to position yourself as an authority that way, right? But how can you do that in your business? Well, just in general conversation, share your expertise. Now, here's a kicker. If you're a coach of any sort, don't give uninvited coaching. It doesn't go well, okay? But if you say, hey, do you mind if I have an idea on that? Do you mind if I share it with you? And if you can give them some insights, share that expertise, and it's going to help them, then they're going to see you as an authority. Even if it's just an idea that comes up in one of those 5-minute networking conversations. Now, the important thing when you're doing this, and again, you don't want to, what we used to call info dump on somebody. We called that in a previous place of employment. But you want to share just enough to provide an easily implementable solution to an immediate problem. Now, this is really key. Don't try to change the world, not in a single conversation. It's not going to work, and you're going to spend the time talking about yourself. Don't do that. That breaks the last of the 7 keys. So find out a specific problem they have and provide them some kind of solution they can implement right away. And this is why. So I'm not saying hold back to be selfish, but one of the most important things that we forget or we don't know, and I have messed up really big on this one in the past, if you give too much information, you're going to overwhelm people and it's going to reduce your trust. So I had the opportunity to speak over at Exit Realty about a year now, almost 2 years ago now. And I walked in and they said, here's the window of time we have. Let's use it. And I had planned for 2 minutes and I went or not 2 minutes, sorry, 2 hours. Planned for 2 hours and I went nearly 3. I completely info dumped all over them. And only one person was interested because nobody else had a clue what was going on because I just had their minds spinning and it wasn't fair to them. And so not only did they not want to buy what I was offering, but they didn't even know where it fit. And it was a presentation about sales through social media. So there was a lot of stuff that I introduced to them that was totally new, but I put way too much information in it. I got way too deep and I went way too long and it was confusing. So although they still, saw me as an authority in the space, I'm confident that it reduced some of the trust. So keep it simple. The other way you can build authority, especially in the world of business, is creating, as I mentioned before, some kind of free gift for people to download. A lot of people are using ebooks. People don't normally read ebooks. So if you can make it easier to consume, like I've got a 1-page cheat sheet. It's called the 5 C's of Successful Sales Conversations. It's 1 page. That's it. And my clients print it out and put it next to their computer, and it guides them through their sales conversations. And people have used that structure to close $10,000 sales conversations. So keep it simple. Okay. So these key pieces are really important. Offer just enough to provide an easily implementable solution to an immediate problem. Okay. So important. What's the problem I have right now? Great. Here's the solution. Don't worry about the next problem they're going to have. That's a whole other conversation. And in fact, from a business perspective, that's a way for them to come back to you for the next solution because you've built your authority. Okay. The next key point is follow through. So this is an image that a friend of mine, Marie Grace Berg, she created because she invited me to be a speaker at her Joint Venture Success Summit. Now, in order to be invited and actually show up, I had to do a few things. I had to follow through. I had to give her, a bio. I had to provide her with a profile picture, give her a summary of what the presentation was going to be to make sure it fits. And it was a huge opportunity because I got to speak at this event with a lot of high-end people. Jay Facette is there, Josh is there, and I don't think Josh is pictured in that particular picture. But there's a lot of both owners of the JV Insider Circle are in that group as well. So it's this network of people that just keep expanding. And if you keep those relationships strong, then it can turn into some really great things. But you need to follow through. Say what you're going to do. It's important because consistency builds trust. So let's go back to attending chamber after hours events. Some people won't talk to you or at least won't trust you until you've shown up at 2 or 3 in a row. They don't want you to be the young kid that's shown up just to go and find their next sales prospect. It's got to be more than that. People don't like to be sold. They love to buy, but they don't like to be sold. So build a relationship and identify if there truly is value there first. So the consistency is really, really key. And this can be in following up on a prospect. It can be, just doing what you're going to say or doing what you said you would do, I should say. Now, I'm really, I won't say bad at this, but I struggle with it. And so I try to make it as simple as possible. And I automate or batch as much as I possibly can. So what this means is, for example, when somebody buys something of mine online, I don't manually go and email them the digital copy of whatever they bought. So if you were to download my book, the whole system is automated where you sign up and you let us know what email to send it to, and then my system that I have set up automatically sends you the link to get the book. Simple. And so the more that you can automate things in your business, the better it's going to be, because it's just one less ball for you to drop. The truth is, we all drop the ball. So if you can just minimize the number of balls you drop, you're going to be further ahead. And it's a really good tip going into 2017. Now, batching. So this is when you do the same type of activities all at the same time or consistently. So for example, I've got a friend, Mark Mowini, who's based in Moncton. He runs a podcast called Natural Born Coaches. And he had the podcast originally ran every single day of the week. Well, he didn't get up in the morning and spend an hour recording a new podcast every day. He set aside a week or two each quarter and booked these interviews back to back to back to back. And he just plowed through them, recorded them all, and then did all the post-production stuff that had to be done to them, and had them scheduled to be uploaded to iTunes and all the other different podcasting softwares that are out there. So he did them all at once. And so if you have a bunch of sales calls to do, a bunch of follow-up calls to do, maybe it's even administrative stuff that you just don't want to do, set the time aside and get it all done and out of the way. You're already in the mode. You're in the mindset. Get that particular task done. Get it over with. Okay, so that's follow through. You just got to do what you say you're going to do. And the more that you can automate it or batch it, the better it's going to be. Hope that makes sense. Now, next one is follow-up. Now, this is a picture of my business card. It's actually an older version of it, but the front, of course, is my logo, but the back, it's blank. My logo is faded. There's no gloss on the back. And it just says notes. This is designed for one particular reason. When I go to a networking event, inevitably there's someone that I want to speak to and follow up with that doesn't have a business card with them. On the back of my card, and I always have a pen with me, I can pull out my card, flip it over to the back and say, oh, you don't have your card? That's okay. Just write down your contact information here. And I have the contact information. So there's never an excuse for not being able to get somebody's contact information if I've had a meaningful conversation and I want to follow up. So you want to own the follow-up. Now, just like the follow-through, people are busy. Okay, priority shift from important to urgent, and they'll forget to follow up with you. So if somebody says, yeah, I'll give you a call Tuesday, there's a pretty darn good chance they won't. So one tip I'll add in actually is if you're going to book a time with somebody like that, actually pull out your calendars and actually put it in the calendar. Okay, everybody's got a calendar on the phone now, so there's no reason not to. Go through that process, and it's going to be more likely that the meeting's going to happen. But when you just want to connect for like a 15-minute phone call, just own it. Take that in contact information. Put the responsibility to follow up in your own hands. Okay, and this way you don't have to worry about people not calling you back. So he or she who owns or who controls, she who controls the contact information controls the relationship. If you do this and you follow up consistently, you will never have a reason for not being able to get in contact with somebody. They already know who you are, they like you, and they trust you because you had this conversation. You want to build on that. And finally, make an offer. So this is a photo of myself and a good friend of mine named Annette. She is from the UK. We met in Las Vegas, and we did a deal together. This is a photo of an agreement that we made where I'm going to help her out with a project. I'm going to promote it to specific organizations. But when it comes to your business, always have some type of low commitment offer. Don't be the person who has a friend that needs what you offer, but they never think of you as the person to go to because you don't talk about your business. There's nothing wrong with talking about your business. Now, don't make it the topic of every conversation, but this, having a low commitment offer, some way that you can engage them makes it easy. So something like a 15-minute complimentary consultation is one of the things that I sometimes use. Giving free resources. So, hey, would you like me to send you a copy of my book or a copy of my cheat sheet? Some type of offer to bridge that gap from social to professional. It doesn't mean you have to stop being friends with them if you get to, to the friend status. But, you don't want to find yourself in a position where, how many people that are watching this now have a friend of theirs that's a realtor, but they're not the person that comes to mind first? We all do. And it's because when you're in the mindset to make a buying decision, or you decide that you want to sell your house or buy a house, it's whoever ends up at the top of your mind next. This is why realtors often give those calendars that with magnets on them that go in the fridge, because chances are, some point within a few hours of when you decide you're going to sell or buy a house or think about it, you're going to walk through your kitchen and they're the face that's going to be there. Don't be the realtor whose friends called somebody else. Make an offer, do something. Have people, jump on your email list, so at least they're always getting some kind of email from you on a weekly or monthly basis or something. One thing I do is a risk-free paid strategy session. And this works really well. So I do charge a fee for my strategy sessions. Currently, they're $147. But the way it works is that at the end of the session, if you don't find you got the value, I'll push the refund button before we're off the call. And if you find that you did get the value, which you will, because nobody's ever asked for a refund, if you want to move forward and work with me in a more structured format, then that investment can apply towards a program. So that's one of the really effective ways that you can do it, but always have something. And I've seen people that have top 10 tips for something, on the back of their business card. Some piece of value, something that people use. Once they engage in your content, then they're going to be more likely to come back to you. So make sure you always have some kind of offer. It can be free. It can be, like a risk-free kind of deposit type session. It all depends on your business. With realtors, for example, have a free assessment that you can do. If you're always talking about how you can do a free assessment, then when your friend is looking to buy their house or sell their house, especially selling, they say, hey, can you come in and do the assessment you're always talking about? Bam, you're the expert, you're the person, you get the business. And then last but not least, be the connector. So this is a picture with, I'm obviously on the right, my girlfriend's in the middle, and on the left is Michelle Coulter Cameron. So she is an Olympic gold medalist. I believe it was for synchronized swimming in 1989. But she was one of my girlfriend's heroes. And because of the relationships that I've built, I was able to connect her with her hero. And look how happy she looks in the middle. She's like giddy. And I kind of mentioned this before, but people have challenges and needs outside of your expertise, right? I'm a sales guy. I'm a sales coach. I'm a sales trainer. And I do help people build businesses. I am not the guy you should talk about for investment advice. And I really never was. But I know a guy, right? And so I can send a prospect to somebody that has the expertise. So when you do referrals, right, it creates a win-win situation for everybody involved. You win because you're seen as the authority. Your client wins because they get their needs taken care of, and they're doing it with somebody you trust. And also, you show back up on the radar for the person you referred them to. Suddenly, you're the person that can send them more business, so they want to build an even stronger relationship with you, right? I mentioned increased authority. You're the go-to person because you'll be seen as the person that knows everybody, right? Be the connector. And depending on the situation and the regulations of your industry, you can actually create additional income through referral fees. So I mentioned doing the launch for Jay. Well, when I promoted his stuff, and I was very transparent about it, I got a commission. So if you buy something through me, there's a pretty good chance that there's a referral fee that I get for it. And here's the key with this, and I want to be really specific here. Don't sell something just to get a commission, okay? Sell something or promote something that you believe in. When I was promoting Jay's program, I had also already bought it myself. The way it works is that if I see something that I like, I then go figure out if there is an affiliate program or referral program for it so I can make money when I refer it. If there's not, I'll still promote what I see as being the best option, even if I don't make money. But I do make it a point. If I'm going to promote it anyway, this is a really good program, I'm going to promote it to my audience. Well, I'm going to go see if there's an affiliate program so I can get paid a little bit. Because why not? Okay. Depending on your industry, there might be a potential conflict. So you want to be careful about that. But in general, there's an entire industry around affiliate marketing. So it's a really great way to add another stream of income as long as what you're promoting are products or services that you believe in. So in summary, the 7 keys to building relationships in sales: be authentic, so be you, be real, okay? Don't try to fake it till you make it. Be interested. Ask open-ended questions to learn more about people and really connect with them, and you'll be the most interesting person in the room. Build authority. So share that information, share your expertise, and position yourself as an authority in your space. Follow through. Make sure you do what you say you're going to do and automate or batch as much as possible. Follow up. Always be in control of the contact information. He or she controls the contact information, controls the relationship. But always follow up. Set reminders, whatever system you can use, but make sure you follow up because that's what builds trust. Make an offer. Again, don't be the realtor whose friends went with somebody else because the fact that they're a realtor wasn't at top of mind. And be the connector. So connect people with people that can solve their problems, their challenges. Have an accountant that you like to refer people to. Have an insurance person you like to refer people to. Someone you know, like, and trust. And they will send you business in return. Okay, it's really powerful. And don't do it just for the reciprocation. If you want to have a selfish reason to do it about looking like an expert and a connector to your client. Okay, make that the reason. And again, if there's a referral or affiliate fee involved, make sure you're only, in any case, make sure you're promoting only things that you believe in. Okay? So that is our presentation. And as a special thank you, I would like to give you a free copy of my book, Put Me in Coach. You can get this at permissiontosell.com/book. If you have any questions at all about the presentation, I'm happy to answer them. Email me directly. This goes right to the iPhone on my hip. Jeremy at permissiontosell.com. Again, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting on this Lunch and Learn. It was a great pleasure. And thank you, of course, to University of Fredericton for sponsoring the event. Have an awesome day, guys.